In this course, you will learn how to incorporate modern elements into your resume, order your content in a way that makes sense to the reader, include all key details to get a recruiter's attention, and to exclude extraneous information that would eliminate distraction. Sections on your document should appear as follows: your header, executive summary, professional experience, education, and if applicable, professional affiliations and/or community involvement. This format not only keeps the ATS bots happy with easy-to-find information, but also allows a human being reviewing your document to hone in on the information that he or she is most interested in. So let's address each one step by step. The first section, the header. You need to start with a prominent header. Make it easy for a recruiter or a hiring manager to recognize your document among the rest. Take a moment to review the before sample on the top of our page. It's outlined here in red. What do you notice, good, bad, or otherwise, about this sample? A lot of extra white space. There seems to be a lot of contact information, a lack of a LinkedIn URL. Your name and contact information should be clearly visible and repeated at the top of every page. The same header format should also be carried over to your cover letter. So for a pro-looking headline, we look at the sample on the bottom, where Julie's name is the largest font on the page. She's doing a great job of balancing the real estate and including only those elements that are modern and contact essential. Here's a pro tip: be sure that the phone number listed on your header is one that you can actually be reached at. There's nothing more frustrating to a potential employer than having to leave multiple messages, or worse yet, getting the dreaded "your mailbox is full." Right? Include hyperlinks where applicable, and again, for your address, we don't need to know your residential street, only your city and state with a zip. The second element of content should be your executive summary. This is the opportunity to strut your stuff. One of the most powerful elements of a modern resume is the existence of this summary. The section located immediately below your contact information solves the dilemma for recruiters to really need to scan a document. It pulls them in here with key features of your background, skills, and accomplishments to give the reader that snapshot of your value proposition. Again, let's take a closer look. Consider for a moment how reading this makes you feel. I hope to obtain a challenging position in a field, marketing, where my education, skills, and experience can be highly utilized and later applicable. Okay, now that is very you-centric. It's very candidate-centric. You're telling them you hope they give you a job for all the great things it can mean for you. Now picture talking to a candidate with this. I am a senior field marketing executive with 15 plus years of experience leading sales, marketing, branding, and advertising strategy to drive year-over-year sales, client growth, and exponential ROI in B2B and B2C environments. Which one would you choose? The opportunity to showcase your value is right there at the top of your resume. And let's see this in actual play. We have a couple of different elements in this power-packed summary that shows you multiple features you may wish to include. Number one, a targeted brand with clear value proposition. In this case, Alex is a software developer. I don't have to guess what he does well or why he's good at it. He tells me right there that he's a visionary leader with technical expertise, taking projects from inception through to execution. He also gives me a brief overview of his career path. We have a powerful skills listing, ensuring that these skills are aligned with his target position and help to increase compatibility with the applicant tracking software systems, or ATS for short. We also see some career highlights with the dashed bullet points there in the middle. He is giving concise information about some of his top accomplishments, and I would look below in the professional experience section in order to find more details on those elements. The benefits of these career highlights right here in the summary is that it brings historical facts forward. It shows them that you're very best, regardless of when it may have happened, and also allows you to highlight relevant accomplishments in the event that maybe you've been out of the field for a period of time. Our third element of content is professional experience. By far the greatest weakness of resumes that I review day in and day out. This section is intended to demonstrate value by indicating the impacts your action has had on the organization. Your resume is a snapshot of your greatest career achievements, not a laundry list of job responsibilities. So you need to describe those achievements in a manner that makes it easy for a professional employer, a potential employer, to understand your return on investment. And we do that with outcome-based achievements. Okay? Knowing how you translate job duties into decreased expenses or increased revenue is far more meaningful and definitely more valuable to a potential employer. So as we say, you want to tell them, not show them, right? Rather than indicate that you attend an annual conference, talk about why you were there, the impact you had, how many individuals you encountered. Instead of simply answering phones, how many phone calls do you take? With what frequency? And is there a certain rating or service that you provide while doing so? Whenever possible, you want to lead with the results. Quantify your success to demonstrate scope. The onus of communicating a clear ROI for the target position rests with the candidate. Make it easy for the potential employer to select you. Clearly communicate the positive impact that hiring you will have on their bottom line. Here's a pro tip of how to move from column on the left to the column on the right. I like to ask people the 4 how questions. For any given entry you have on your current resume, ask the 4. How much, how many, how long, and how often. Typically, one or more of those 4 questions will apply to your specific responsibility statement and allow you to quickly and easily turn it into, instead, an accomplishment statement. Let's see some examples on Alex's resume. A screenshot here showcases some very well-written bullet point accomplishments. Note that the scope statements for the company and the job role are listed there. They are brief and full of impact, just to give you a sense of what his overall sort of scope of responsibilities may have been. But when we start getting into those accomplishments, they then become bullet points. They are kept tight and they lead with the result whenever possible. Be sure to demonstrate present value by having entries contain the most number of accomplishments to your current role over prior entries that would showcase fewer. So in this case, we can see since 2012, we're seeing 3 main bullet points with some sub-bullets below. And during his time as a help desk engineer that was further in the past, we're seeing only 3 bullet points with no subsequent entries. You need to be sure that you're telling your story. Connect the dots for the reader, okay? When you're putting down these accomplishments, you need to make sure they are relevant to your now target. Have a strategy that's going to drive home that unique value in a way that only your work history and talents can do, right? We don't think about our resume as a necessary evil of the job search process. Instead, it's an opportunity to tell your story, to share your genuine value, right? And speaking of value and genuine, make sure that you are avoiding exaggeration. You should be speaking in your own voice and giving factual information about things that have taken place. Lying or falsifying information on your resume is a great way to essentially wreak havoc on your career. So ensure that you're telling your own story and not someone else's. The next element of our content is education. Right? Education may include professional development and even technical skills that are gained over time. In an example, you can see 3 different entries here. These are 3 different resumes, 3 different individuals. Notice that we're seeing some similar formatting throughout, which is the use of bold to draw attention to the actual degree or certifications, and then extraneous information is then offered unbolded because it's not as necessary and we don't need to draw the reader's eye in. Note that dates are optional. If you're attempting to not showcase that you graduated many decades ago, you don't have to include the dates. However, if you have an opportunity to showcase a pending degree, something that you have in process, maybe it's a PMP certification, or in this case, a Master's of Business Administration in our bottom example, do so by indicating that something is expected by a certain date, okay? Now, education will always come after professional experience. The only exception to this is that if you have received a degree within the last 12 months, you may choose to place education ahead of professional experience, which would mean it would come immediately after the executive summary. But use caution in doing so, because even if you've recently received that degree, employers are always going to be more interested in your real world impact than simply that graduate degree listed or undergraduate degree. So education rightfully should come after professional experience, any relevant professional experience. And finally, professional affiliations and community involvement. This can be a great way to establish common ground and really demonstrate some of your positive qualities. You do need to make sure that you are taking time for consistent formatting and that any affiliations, membership, and service matches and aligns with your brand and the rest of the document. Ensure that it is meaningful, right? It should be a meaningful skill or commitment to your community. Reporting that you like to ice skate on the weekends, not resume worthy. A long time ago, we used to have a hobbies or an interest section. This does not belong on a resume, although could be appropriate for LinkedIn. So ice skating on the weekends, not worthy, but volunteering to coach the Special Olympics figure skating team, that could be resume worthy. And ensure that these particular entries are recent, which means they should have happened within the last 5 years. Always include your name and contact information, the company name and location, job titles and dates of employment, and your education. These are essential items to moving through those ATS systems. Only include certain items as they support your brand. So we want to market with intention, we include things with intention, and exclude. So only include work history more than 10 years in the past if it supports your now target. An explanation of time out of work. We actually have a video around gaps in employment. If it is relevant and supports your target, then by all means you can include. Hobbies, again, only if it supports your brand, and there are very few instances of this. One I can think of is if you have participated in a triathlon. That indicates a level of dedication, commitment, hard work that maybe we would want to see in a leader. But knowing that I run 2 miles on the weekend, not nearly as impressive and is something I can just keep for LinkedIn or keep to myself. And unfortunately, while the picture of dog Hazel, who is a member of our professional courage staff, is adorable, we never ever include photos on resumes and don't include any personal details like your birth date or height or name of your children. This is not good practice. And in fact, studies show that 88% of resumes that have a photo will be immediately rejected. So yes to a photo on LinkedIn, no to a photo on your resume. As I come to a close here, I want to go ahead and slide through this content organization again. And while doing so, I challenge you to write down 3 different action items that you will take to improve your resume in the next 24 hours. Okay. So will you update your header? Perhaps there's something you can bring to your executive summary. Improve professional experience with more of those accomplishments instead of accountabilities. Be sure that you have the right education listed and that it is formatted correctly, including professional affiliations or community involvements with something that is meaningful and time sensitive, meaning within the last 5 years. Exclude those that are not. Based on what you've learned here today, what are some steps that you could take to up your resume game? Think about it, write it down, and then get to it. I appreciate you joining us today. Visit our blog to access more of the Learning Library and free downloads.